Hello and welcome to Presstv News Analysis. I'm Kaveh Taghwaei. It's called Bahrain's security court, in essence a military court which does not adhere to international law. This was the venue where a protester has been sentenced to death for allegedly killing a policeman, a court which has sentenced 13 doctors and nurses to 15 years in jail for treating wounded protesters. The crimes against the ruling family. In this edition of the News Analysis, we ask, as the U.S. remains silent, will Bahrainis succeed in the revolution? Let me introduce our guests. We have a Bahraini physician by the name of Dr. Nada Daif, who joins us on the phone from the capital, Manama. President of the Bahraini Medical Association, Osama Al-Aradi, joins us from Detroit. From the Bahrain Justice and Development Movement, Dominique Kavakeb joins us from London. Rounding off the list, former University of Bahrain assistant professor Colin Covell joins us from Austin. I'd like to thank all our guests. Let me introduce Dr. Nada Daif and set the precedent before we talk to her. She was one of the many doctors that actually set up a medical tent in the Pearl roundabout. She got arrested on the 21st of March after a nightly house raid, which then she was held incommunicado until she was released after more than a month on the 5th of May to be called for a military trial along with another of her co-workers amounting to 47 medical staff. Dr. Nada Daif, thanks so much for talking to us. Tell us about what you have experienced. Tell us what happened in terms of what you were doing at the Pearl Roundabout in terms of treating the wounded and the injured, and of course what followed after that.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me on your show. I was involved in setting the medical tent at the Lulu Roundabout, and it was purely a volunteer job. I wanted to make sure, as well as the rest of my colleagues who volunteered there, to the maximum number of people to get the medical attention they deserve. It was purely professional and humanitarian.
Tell us then what happened in terms of you being detained. What kind of charges were brought against you?
The charges I received, it was crimes against the state. The most serious one was occupying the public building, which is the Salmania Medical Hospital, with force, using weapons and controlling the outlets of the hospital. Another serious one is inciting of overthrow of the regime and spreading false news and hatred of the regime and other charges like stealing the equipment and medication and transferring it to the Lulu Roundabout clinic.
So are these...
those are the charges against me.
Are they valid?
Not at all. Not at all. First of all, I work in a private clinic, my own private clinic. I've always worked in the private sector, never ever in the government, never ever in Salmania Medical Hospital. And I just find these charges ridiculous. There's no single evidence for those charges. And yet I was sentenced for 15 years. There's no single evidence provided against me. Even all the witnesses, the state witnesses, as well as the defense witnesses from the admin at the hospital and the admin at the ministry, they said, don't know her. She never came to the hospital. And still I was charged for that serious crime and sentenced.
Tell us what happened when they came. We understand the forces came, regime forces, into your house in the middle of the night and detained you. What ordeal did you go through at that moment? And then following that, what happened? Where did they take you? And if there was any type of abuse or torture?
Actually, I was detained on the 19th, not the 21st. Early morning 19th. I was late. And, first of all, I didn't know they were security forces. They were just people in civilian clothes, armed. So I thought I was kidnapped. They came 3 a.m. in the morning, stormed into my house, and I was taken blindfolded and handcuffed. And there was all the cars. There were civilian cars. There was no sign that they were not in their uniforms or anything. So I didn't know. And I was taken to unknown place. Later on, a week or 10 days later, I realized it was the Central Information Department, the CID in Adliya, the investigation department or something. That was later on. It's called the CID. There, immediately after I was taken or kidnapped, I would say, mistreatment started with the beating, with the kicking, with the cursing, and to the extent that an electric device was used on my ears and my face.
Okay, did I understand you correctly? You said you were shocked by, you were electrocuted, electric shocks were exercised on you?
Yes, exactly.
And while this was happening, what did you do? What did you say to them?
I don't know. I was in shock. I was crying, and I lost consciousness 3 or 4 times during that period. During 1 week, I lost consciousness. I was taken to the clinic, to their clinic, the military clinic they have there.
And you said it took about a week to 10 days before you understood what is going on. During this time, were you allowed, A, visitation rights by your family members, and B, and maybe more importantly, access to lawyers?
Not at all. I was not allowed to call my family. I was called for 2 minutes. I was allowed to call my husband for a minute, and I was on speaker just to ask for clothes. I was not allowed to shower, bathe, or go to the bathroom for that long period. And it was a month later when I first talked with my kids, with my little girls. And my lawyer never, till the day of my release, I was not allowed for visitation or to contact my. No.
I understand this might be very hard for you to answer, but I'd like to ask you anyways, and if you feel uncomfortable, you don't need to answer, but the amount of, well, the way you were treated. You mentioned you were shocked or electrocuted. What other forms of abuse happened while you were in detention, or any other forms of abuse that you experienced?
Well, the verbal violation, they were cursing me, cursing my family, my religion. We're always all bad names, like all based on sex, like Jizya and stuff like that. And I was threatened with rape if I don't just confess and sign on the papers, blindfolded.
Well, let me get a reaction. Stay with us there, Dr. Dave. Let me ask Osama Al-Aradi for a response. You just heard there, we're lucky enough to have this doctor with us who has just explained the ordeal that she has gone through. And of course, she's one of many. So, Osama Al-Aradi, what do you think, your reaction to what you just heard?
Yeah, thanks to Presstv, first of all, for this coverage. But, Dr. Anada is one of many others who had really suffered the brutality of this government. We know very well that, these physicians did their job, with the massive casualties that were rushed to Salmania Medical Center. And many of these physicians who've been tried today, basically they did their human duties, their work. They treated patients. I cannot describe how much of human rights were abused on those days, how much of a massive casualties and injuries took place. And these physicians were trying their best to cope with that amount of massive casualties and injuries. So basically they did their job. And what they are faced with is this massive brutality. They were arrested from the hospital, from their homes at early morning hours, and what happened is that those physicians, seeing this brutal casualties, that with open skulls, with direct live bullets, different types of injuries, they were shocked. Actually, everyone who looked at those types of injuries were really shocked. Anyone, and all the international organizations are well aware of that. We have many reports, we have many pictures, we have many videos of that. So they talked to the media at that time. Who in the world can hide these crimes? These were really crimes against humanity, and they talked to the media. So when they talked to the media, they exposed those crimes. Unfortunately, the government was not happy about it. So they went ahead and they basically arrested those physicians who are well known. These physicians have been working in the Ministry of Health for 15 years, for 20 years. They are consultants. They are highly professional and highly trained people, and they get arrested. They get punished because they did their duties.
And this
so
goes
back in March, when the wave of the
Right, and I was just going to indicate, this goes back to 7 months ago when this happened, and of course the Saudi-backed crackdown continues. Amnesty International has confirmed this as being ludicrous charges against civilian professionals who are working to save lives.